Hey everyone, and welcome back to Shades of Sasha. If you're new here, take a seat, put your crown on, and welcome to the gang. And if you're part of the gang, you already know what time it is. What's good, baby? So today's video is all about this hair. So since you're here, just keep on watching. So as you can tell by the thumbnail and the title of this video, today we're going to be making a 5x5 closure, and you're going to just need a few supplies. You're going to make sure you need a spandex dome cap, you're going to need to have the closure, and you're going to need to have some needle and thread, and you're going to have some bundles. The only part that will require sewing is the actual closure. You can also just hot glue, but I just generally do prefer to sew my closures down rather than hot gluing them down. So after you kind of line up where things are going to be, you're going to go ahead and kind of put it in a bun. That's pretty much what I usually do, and then I sew around everywhere with a parameter of the entire closure, and then we're going to go into the hot glue method of doing it. If you obviously did not want to sew but you wanted to just do the hot glue, you would do the same kind of exact method and just making sure that you're hot gluing everything. Try to give yourself a little bit more room and space when it's doing this, because as much as you do want it really tight, you want to make sure that when you're working with a bigger closure, just know it's going to eat up a lot of space. So if you actually wanted to shift the closure more forward to the front, that would actually be more beneficial and helpful. It's just going to kind of mess things up, because actually when you're doing the sewing of the front, that's where it just gets kind of like there's a lot of hiccups. So kind of follow the same method of what it is that I'm doing. You can also find a lot of different resources on YouTube as well if you want a more in-depth version of like how do you actually sew your bundles or sew a closure down. I'm going the under loop method, where I just basically go under and then I put my thread through to just make sure that everything is tight and secure, and that's pretty much all I'm gonna do. I'm doing it completely for one side so that y'all can see, and then after that I don't show the rest. So this is what I'm saying, where you're gonna have to make sure you're tightening things down. So even though there was a gap, obviously I'm making sure that I'm removing the gap. This is a very large size closure, so it will eat up a lot of space. If that's not what you're going for, just make sure you go down to like a regular 4x4 closure. What I would recommend if you're doing these, less bundles is more. So if you're using a 5x5 or a 6x6, then you can most likely get away with like 2 bundles instead of 1 bundle. So that's kind of the pro that I see that a lot of people love doing it. I was still gonna try and pack as much hair as I could on this unit, and that is exactly what I did. I also mentioned that I dropped a recent video where I did a 4x4 closure that I got from Amazon, and in this video at the end I am comparing kind of the two, let you know my thoughts on overall of what I think. So this is what the stitching is gonna look like, and then you're gonna make sure you're gonna have some hot glue gun, and you're gonna have hot glue gun and some glue sticks. This is a part that I really wanted to leave in because I think it's really important. Make sure you're brushing out your bundles before you go ahead and you just glue it down. Sometimes it can be like, oh, of course that's obvious, but sometimes people just need a reminder. So we're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna put it directly on to the weft. You can choose to do it this way. There is other points where I just basically do it onto the entire cap. I also didn't do this, but make sure you kind of protect your cap. Put a little plastic bag or something over the cap just so it can give more room and slack for when you're taking it off, because that is a part that I also skipped that I didn't do in that step. So it's a suggestion I'm just going to make sure that you know to do. So here you're just going to put it down, and yes, it is very secure. It really do not go anywhere. I really do find that whenever you hot glue wefts down on a wig, it just be lasting a lifetime. So that's basically my recommendation when it comes to making sure you're hot gluing down your bundles. And then this is the other method that I said you can do. You can just go ahead and hot glue it directly onto the cap, and then just go ahead and do that. There isn't a rhyme or a method that I specifically use when I'm hot gluing down my wefts. All I do is just follow the outline and make sure I'm covering every single
point, I want to use every single amount of the weft that I can to just make sure I'm filling everything. The only thing that I do is I do cut my wefts. There are some people who I know you may be very against doing that, so some people will fold instead of cutting. These bundles, I've just had them for a really long time, and I just really wanted to get back into my creative bag of actually really diving into how I do things with hair, and that's why I was like, yeah, I'm gonna cut it because I'm fine. Like, it doesn't affect me that much, versus like there's some people that they really hate the thought of cutting their bundles. So as you can tell, this bundle is really long, and I'll probably show you the method of just making sure you're flipping it over. I just think sometimes it takes too long, but I still wanted to give all of the options of what you can do, just so you're not sitting and just being like, damn, I don't want to cut this. Is there something else that I can do? So you just will go ahead and do that, and then you'll just flip it and make sure you're taking the time that you're pressing the wefts down so that things are lasting and just holding in place, rather than just doing it and running away. And just go ahead and do that. So at this point, this is where we are at the top. You're just gonna keep going, and when you get to the top, that is when the placement really is even more important, because obviously you want it to be hidden as best as possible, and you want to just make sure that you're taking your time to have things just be neat and just laid out very well. So every single piece is going to be done, trust me. Like, it's going to be completely covered. I had 3 bundles, so I had more than enough to use. This is what it looks like in the complete stage when it's finished, and you're just gonna go ahead and brush everything out again, and then you're gonna go ahead and then unravel that bun that you put the closure in, and then you're just gonna go ahead and make sure you just do whatever else you need to do. So here I'm gonna take everything off. I'm gonna put my part inside of the unit and just cut everything up, and then I'm gonna go ahead and just tell you my final thoughts.
I just wanted to show y'all what the final product looks like. This is the unit. I do have a wig that is a closure wig that I just bought from Amazon. I'm gonna give that one a kind of like a shot just to let y'all see. I did do the customization, but I want to put it on and give y'all my initial thoughts about that, because I actually want to kind of compare the two. I feel like this closure is a 5x5. I really love the way that this whole thing just came together. Like, I feel like if you're more in the market of like, you want something that's kind of like more neutral, it's ready to go, and you don't have to do too much with it, I prefer this one over the other 4x4, over the 4x4 closure that I did receive. So there are a couple things I feel like I would fix, but honestly at the same time there isn't. I did add a band, and then I did spray my lace with my lace spray. So those are the only things that I did not record. And then obviously I went in and I flat ironed the unit, and I went and hot combed it as well, and then I just tightened my strap, and this is it. So this is what the wig comes out to be after I've hot glued the wig and everything. The back of the unit, it is kind of like you gonna have to figure her out. I really am glad that I put the adjustable thing on, because I'm telling you, it's really loose here. If I did not have it, I just didn't feel like it fit my head the way that I needed it to. However, I think what I was going for when I was buying that 4x4 wig, it's actually what I received when I made the wig. So I decided to make up I decided I was going to take the time and make a closure wig, but then I also bought a closure wig, which is the point of why I'm saying like I'm going to compare the two, because this is kind of like my initial thoughts of just how I wrap it up and everything is. So the bundles, they lasted a long time. They're really kicking. Like I said, I've had these bundles for over 3 years, so about 3 to 5 years like I've actually had them, and the closure is about the same. Like, I genuinely cannot remember where like I don't remember the link. Like I'm pretty sure I got these on Amazon or either off of like AliExpress or something. Like it was a minute ago, and I really don't know where I would even find it. But 5x5 closure, and then I just did 3 different set of bundles of what I had just to like stitch everything in, as you saw. And I really do love the results. I love that everything came out. And to also put the wig down a little bit, what I did have is a kind of foam. I think I've shown it before in my videos, but it's a mousse that also kind of has a brown tint to it. So I just added that and then sprayed it, and then just did that, and that's pretty much it, and then you were good to go. So if you're in the vibe of like I want something that'll pop on and go, I genuinely think that it does come out a lot better and it's more cost effective than buying. But stay tuned for that video. Like I said, I will be kind of comparing and giving out my thoughts on just like how I feel about the pullback work versus this 5x5 closure that I actually made. So thank you guys so much for watching this